Welcome to Empathy Stories, where we explore profound tales of love, redemption, and resilience that touch the heart and inspire the soul. Today, we bring you the story of Liam Cooper, a billionaire whose forgotten past collides with an unexpected discovery, leading to a journey of healing, forgiveness, and a second chance at family. The streets of Chicago bustled with the energy of a city that never stopped moving. Cars honked impatiently, pedestrians hurried past, and the skyscrapers reflected the afternoon sun like mirrors of ambition. Liam Cooper, a billionaire known for his sharp business acumen, sat in the back seat of his luxury car, staring blankly at the tablet in his hands. His assistant droned on about the details of his upcoming meeting, but Liam barely registered the words. It was a scene that could have been lifted from any other day in his life. A routine of deals and deadlines that had long defined his existence. But Liam's life hadn't always been this way, at least. He thought ahead. After an accident several years ago, much of his memory had been wiped clean. His mother, Margaret Cooper, had been his guiding light through the fog of amnesia, telling him stories about his past, about the kind of man he was. According to her, his life had always been about building his empire, making his mark, and avoiding the distractions of personal attachments. It was a story that fit neatly into the world he now inhabited, a world of wealth, power, and endless ambition. As Liam's car came to a stop at a busy intersection, he glanced absent-mindedly out the window. Something caught his eye, a small scene playing out in the chaos of the street. A woman in a wheelchair sat by the curb, holding a bouquet of colorful flowers. Beside her stood two young boys, no older than 6, their small hands clutching additional bouquets as they approached passing cars. Their clothes were simple, their faces bright but weary from the day's labor. It was the kind of sight that most drivers ignored, a fleeting moment in the endless tapestry of urban life. But Liam couldn't ignore it. His gaze lingered on the boys, on their sharp features, their bright green eyes. Something about them was startlingly familiar, a resemblance he couldn't place. His chest tightened as the taller boy approached his car window, his small face hopeful yet hesitant. "Sir, would you like to buy some flowers?" the boy asked, his voice clear and earnest. "It's for our mom." Liam fumbled with his wallet, feeling uncharacteristically off balance. He handed the boy a $20 bill, more out of instinct than anything else. "Keep the change," he said, his voice softer than he intended. The boy's face lit up with gratitude. "Thank you, sir," he said, before darting back to his mother with a spring in his step. Liam's car pulled away as the light turned green, but his thoughts remained fixed on the scene he'd just witnessed. The resemblance between the boys and himself was uncanny, unsettling even. Their eyes, their jawlines, they were features Liam saw every morning in the mirror. He tried to shake the feeling, telling himself it was a coincidence, an overactive imagination. But the unease lingered, a quiet but insistent tug in the back of his mind. When he arrived at his office in the heart of downtown Chicago, the usual rhythm of his workday failed to bring him focus. His assistant, noticing his distraction, asked if everything was all right. Liam waved her off with a brusque reply, but inwardly, he was anything but fine. The image of the woman and her children replayed in his mind like a fragment of a forgotten dream. That evening, Liam sat alone in his penthouse apartment, the city skyline stretching out before him. The lights of Chicago twinkled in the darkness, but for the first time, they felt cold and distant. On the table in front of him lay the bouquet of flowers he had bought. The lavender and roses filled the room with a faint, bittersweet aroma. As Liam stared at them, memories hazy, fragmented, and out of reach seemed to stir at the edges of his consciousness. He couldn't let it go. The resemblance, the pull he felt, it was too strong to ignore. He picked up his phone and called his private investigator, David Miller, a man he trusted with the most sensitive matters. Liam described the encounter in detail, his voice betraying an urgency he couldn't fully explain. "I need you to find out who they are," Liam said. "The woman, the boys, everything. I need to know." David promised to begin the search immediately. But as Liam ended the call, a wave of apprehension washed over him. He wasn't sure what he hoped to find. Part of him feared the answers might unravel the fragile narrative he had built around his life, the one his mother had carefully woven for him. Yet, another part of him, a part he barely understood, felt a deep yearning to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. As the night stretched on, Liam sat in the dark, the city lights casting long shadows across the room. For the first time in years, he felt unmoored, as though the life he had so meticulously constructed was a facade, and beneath it lay something raw, something real. He didn't know what the investigation would uncover, but he knew one thing: whatever it was, it would change everything. Liam Cooper was no stranger to uncovering secrets in his professional life. As a billionaire, digging beneath the surface of deals, markets, and competitors was second nature. But this time, the secrets were personal, and the stakes were far higher than any business deal. For days after his encounter with the woman and her boys, he found himself plagued by questions that no amount of wealth or power could answer. His private investigator, David Miller, had promised a swift investigation, and when the call finally came, Liam's heart raced with both anticipation and dread. David met Liam in his sleek office overlooking Chicago's glittering skyline, carrying a manila folder that seemed heavier than its physical weight. As David laid it on the desk, Liam hesitated before opening it, his fingers hovering over the edge of the folder as if it might burn him. Finally, he flipped it open, his eyes scanning the contents. The woman's name was Evelyn Harper. She was 36 years old, a single mother who had once been a talented artist before a tragic accident left her confined to a wheelchair. The two boys were her sons, Sam and Noah, both 6 years old. The deeper Liam delved into the documents, the more his unease grew. The resemblance between the boys and himself wasn't a coincidence, it was biology. The DNA test David had discreetly arranged confirmed what Liam had suspected but hadn't dared to believe. Sam and Noah were his children. His breath caught as he read on, his pulse pounding in his ears. Evelyn Harper wasn't just a stranger with a shared history. She was the woman he had once loved. Years ago, before his accident, they had been inseparable, bound by a love that defied the differences in their social status. Evelyn had been his muse, his partner, the woman who saw him for who he was. Not what he had, but the life Liam thought he had built on love had been stripped away after the accident. It was his mother, Margaret Cooper, who had orchestrated the separation. In the aftermath of Liam's memory loss, Margaret had intervened, convinced that Evelyn's modest background would be an obstacle to Liam's rise to the top. She had sent Evelyn away, cutting her out of Liam's life entirely, and had never spoken of her again. To Liam, his past with Evelyn had been erased, replaced with a narrative of ambition and self-reliance carefully constructed by his mother. Rage and disbelief surged through Liam as he closed the folder. The woman he had trusted most in the world, the woman who had guided him through the haze of memory loss, had betrayed him. Margaret Cooper's actions were not just manipulative, they were cruel. She had not only severed his connection to the woman he loved, but had also deprived him of the chance to know his own children. Liam confronted his mother that same evening in the grand family estate where he had grown up. The opulent mansion, once a symbol of security and success, now felt like a gilded cage. Margaret greeted him with her usual composed demeanor, but the tension in Liam's posture was impossible to ignore. "What's wrong, Liam?" she asked, her voice calm but laced with a hint of concern. He didn't mince words. "You lied to me," he said, his tone sharp as steel. "You didn't just lie, you destroyed my life. You took Evelyn from me. You kept me from my children." Margaret's face faltered, the mask of control slipping for a moment before she regained her composure. "Liam, I did what I thought was best for you. Evelyn was not the right match for your future. You needed stability. Focus." "Don't," Liam interrupted, his voice rising. "Don't tell me you did it for me. You did it for yourself. You couldn't stand the idea of your son being with someone who didn't fit your perfect vision of success." Margaret's silence was deafening, a tacit admission of guilt. Liam's chest tightened as he realized how much of his life had been shaped by her decisions. He had trusted her, leaned on her, and in return, she had taken everything that mattered. "You had no right," he said, his voice breaking. "You robbed me of the woman I loved. You robbed me of knowing my own children." Margaret reached out, her expression softening with what looked like genuine remorse. "Liam, I made a mistake. I see that now. But what's done is done. You have to move forward." Liam stepped back, shaking his head. "You don't get to decide how I move forward. Not anymore." Leaving the estate that night, Liam felt both liberated and hollow. The truth had set him free, but it had also shattered the foundation of his life. He couldn't undo the years of pain Evelyn had endured or erase the betrayal she had suffered. But he could take the first step toward making things right. The following day, Liam arrived at Evelyn's modest apartment building in the heart of Chicago. The neighborhood was a far cry from the luxury he was accustomed to, but it was warm and alive, a community built on resilience rather than wealth. As he climbed the narrow staircase to her door, his heart pounded with a mix of fear and hope. When Evelyn opened the door, their eyes met for the first time in years. She looked older, her features etched with the hardships she had faced, but her strength and beauty were unmistakable. For a moment, neither of them spoke, the weight of the past hanging heavy between them. "Liam," she said finally, her voice a mixture of surprise and guarded emotion. "What are you doing here?" "I came to see you," he said, his voice soft but steady. "I need to talk to you. About everything." As she hesitated, Liam saw the pain in her eyes, the wall she had built to protect herself and her children. But when she stepped aside to let him in, he knew he had been given a chance to confront the past, to face the woman he had loved, and to begin the difficult journey of redemption. As Liam stepped into Evelyn's modest apartment, the warmth of the space contrasted sharply with the emotional distance between them. Toys were scattered across the floor. Colorful drawings were taped to the refrigerator, and a faint scent of lavender lingered in the air. It was a home built with love and resilience. Despite the hardships Evelyn had endured, Liam took it all in, feeling both admiration for her strength and shame for the role he had unknowingly played in her struggles. Evelyn led him to the small living room, her movements careful as she navigated her wheelchair. Her sons, Sam and Noah, peeked curiously from behind a doorway, their identical green eyes, a mirror of Liam's, wide with curiosity. Liam smiled at them gently, but his attention quickly returned to Evelyn, who sat across from him with a guarded expression. "What do you want, Liam?" she asked, her voice steady but tinged with exhaustion. He hesitated, searching for the right words. "I came to apologize," he began, "for everything. For not being there when you needed me. For not knowing about Sam and Noah. I know nothing I say can erase the pain you've been through. But I want to make it right." Evelyn's eyes narrowed, her skepticism evident. "And how exactly do you plan to make it right?" "You can't turn back time. Liam, you can't undo what your family did to me." Her words cut deep, but Liam nodded, accepting her anger. "You're right. I can't change the past. But I didn't know. Evelyn, I didn't know about the boys, or about what my mother did to you. After my accident, I lost so much of my memory, and she used that to manipulate me. I'm so sorry." Evelyn's expression softened slightly, but the pain in her eyes remained. "I try to tell you, Liam. I sent letters, emails, even hired a lawyer. But your mother made sure I was silenced. I fought for years, and when I realized no one was coming to help, I had to move on, for myself, and for them." She nodded toward the boys, who were now cautiously inching closer to their mother. Liam looked at his sons, his chest tightening with emotion. "They're incredible," he said softly. "You've done an amazing job raising them." Evelyn's lips pressed into a thin line. "I didn't have a choice. I had to be strong for them, and I will keep being strong, whether you're in their lives or not." Her words were a challenge, but also an invitation, a test to see if Liam was truly willing to step up. He met her gaze with determination. "I want to be in their lives, Evelyn. I want to be a father to them, but I know that will take time and trust. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to earn that. Over the weeks that followed, Liam began to integrate himself into Evelyn's life cautiously and respectfully. He visited regularly, taking time to get to know Sam and Noah, who were initially shy but gradually warmed to his presence. They were curious about him, asking questions about his work, his favorite foods, and even his childhood. Liam answered honestly, marveling at their intelligence and the bond they shared as brothers. Evelyn watched from the sidelines, her defenses slowly lowering as she saw Liam's genuine efforts. He didn't try to impose himself on their lives or use his wealth to overwhelm them. Instead, he focused on the small, meaningful moments, helping the boys with their homework, playing soccer in the park, and bringing Evelyn her favorite coffee during their late-night talks. One evening, as they sat on the apartment's tiny balcony overlooking the city, Evelyn finally let her guard down. "You've changed, Liam," she said quietly. "The man I knew before the accident was ambitious, determined, but distant. This version of you feels different." Liam nodded, his gaze fixed on the skyline. "The accident took away a lot, but it also forced me to confront what really matters. For so long, I was chasing success, trying to prove something to the world. But now I see that none of it means anything without the people you love." Evelyn studied him for a moment, her eyes searching his face for any hint of insincerity. Finding none, she sighed. "I want to believe you, Liam, for the boys' sake, and maybe even for mine, but it's going to take time." "I understand," he replied, "and I'll wait as long as it takes." As Liam became more involved in their lives, he also confronted his mother, Margaret. Once more, he made it clear that her interference had cost him dearly and that she had no place in the family he was trying to rebuild. Margaret, faced with the reality of her actions, offered a tearful apology. But Liam knew that forgiveness would be a long and complicated journey. Evelyn, too, found herself grappling with conflicting emotions. She had built a life of independence, one defined by her strength and resilience. Allowing Liam back into that life meant risking her hard-won stability. But as she saw the joy he brought to their sons and the genuine effort he made to support her dreams, encouraging her to revive her passion for art and helping her find ways to exhibit her work, she began to see a future where they could coexist. One day, as the family picnicked in the park, Sam and Noah ran ahead, laughing and chasing each other through the grass. Liam and Evelyn sat side by side, watching them with shared pride. "They adore you," Evelyn said softly, "and I see how much you love them." Liam turned to her, his expression serious but tender. "I love all of you, Evelyn. I know I can't undo the pain I caused, but I want to spend the rest of my life making up for it." Evelyn looked at him, her heart torn between fear and hope. But as she saw the sincerity in his eyes, she felt the walls around her heart begin to crumble. "We'll take it one step at a time," she said, her voice steady but laced with emotion. "For the boys, and for us." In the months that followed, Liam and Evelyn worked together to build a new foundation for their family, one rooted in trust, love, and mutual respect. It wasn't always easy, but they faced each challenge together, determined to create a life where their sons could thrive. Evelyn's art career flourished, thanks in part to Liam's unwavering support. And Liam found a sense of fulfillment he had never experienced in the corporate world. Their journey was far from perfect, but it was theirs, and it was enough. As the sun set over Chicago one evening, Liam and Evelyn stood hand in hand, watching Sam and Noah play by the lake. In that moment, surrounded by the laughter of their children and the promise of a brighter future, they knew they had finally found their way back to each other. The story of Liam Cooper and Evelyn Parker is a tapestry woven with lessons of love, resilience, and redemption, teaching us that the paths we take in life often demand both reflection and growth. Liam's journey is a profound lesson in accountability and transformation. A man once consumed by ambition and blinded by his mother's influence. He learns the hard truth that success means little without meaningful connections. Through his confrontation with the past, he discovers that true wealth lies in the relationships we nurture and the people we fight to keep in our lives. His willingness to confront his mother's betrayal and embrace his role as a father and partner shows the power of taking responsibility for one's actions and the importance of making amends. No matter how daunting, Evelyn embodies resilience and independence. Her unwavering strength in raising her children alone, despite the odds stacked against her, is a testament to the depth of a mother's love. Yet her story also reveals the vulnerability in allowing someone back into her life, teaching us that forgiveness and trust are not signs of weakness, but of immense courage. Together, their story reminds us that love, when coupled with genuine effort and self-reflection, has the power to heal even the deepest wounds, creating a future built on understanding, respect, and hope. Thank you for joining us on this emotional journey today. Liam and Evelyn's story reminds us that love, resilience, and courage can overcome even the deepest of challenges. If their journey moved you, please like, share, and subscribe to Empathy Stories for more heartfelt tales. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stay compassionate and stay inspired.